And to save up to 20% on the big thing you need. Save money and coupons at Cernet's, the department store for everyone.
This is WHO TV 13 Des Moines.
Good morning. Donald Regan is still on the job as the president's chief of staff, but the hot question is for how long? In an effort to quiet the growing Dump Regan chorus, the White House is now saying that after the Tower Commission report comes out on Thursday, Regan will meet with the president to talk about his future. Mired in the mess of the Iran-Contra affair, Donald Regan's the center of controversy and the headline today, Tuesday, February the 24th, 1987.
From NBC News, this is Today with Bryant, Gumbel, and Jane Pauley.
Good morning and welcome to Today on a Tuesday morning. The hot question in Washington seems to be not if Donald Regan is going, but when. At least that's the word making the rounds. John Palmer's going to give us a little bit of an update on the intrigue at the White House in just a moment from over at the news desk. And then following news and weather on Close Up at 7:09, we'll look to politics of a different sort. We'll be going live to Chicago for a report there on the Democratic primary race for mayor, matching the incumbent Harold Washington against former Mayor Jane Byrne.
Also coming up, the winner of the Sullivan Award as Best Amateur Athlete. It was a surprise winner, and if you haven't heard who it was, I'm not going to tell you just yet. Bryant will a little bit later. The Tortellis will be by, and on After 8, we'll look at what some say is a problem in the Catholic Church. Homosexual priests.
We'll also be talking later this morning with former baseball commissioner Bowie Kuhn, who's now become an author. Let's move to the news desk and John Palmer. Good morning, John.
Brian, Jane, good morning. In the news this morning, senior administration sources are quoted as saying that President Reagan is unable to say with certainty if he approved in advance the first shipment of American-made arms to Iran. The New York Times quotes a senior administration official as saying this is why the president has given conflicting accounts on this point to members of the Tower Commission investigating the Iran-Contra affair. Meantime, as Bryant reported, it appears that White House Chief of Staff Donald Regan will stay on at least till the end of the week. Andrea Mitchell has a report.
Donald Regan won a temporary stay, persuading the president that he should keep his job until the Tower Commission's report is released. And Regan summoned some of his toughest critics, including possible successors Paul Laxalt and James Baker, to the Oval Office to hear the president give him the reprieve. But Regan's fight for survival is overwhelming everything else at the White House.
I try to say things are going on without being distracted. When everybody knows you're distracted, just doesn't serve the president.
Usually a group
When the president introduced his team to the nation's governors,
Secretary Bennett, Secretary Bowen, Chuck Hobbs, Vice President, and
the chief of staff was not on the list. Nancy Reagan and outside observers believe Regan's struggle is hurting the president.
Ronald Reagan is unable to take charge now. Nobody's paying much attention to what he's saying that doesn't have to do with the scandal, and he is being kept, in effect, out of any kind of public appearances to really promote an agenda because of fear that he'll get involved in talking about these things.
How can the president deal with the Soviets if he cannot settle a dispute between his wife and the chief of staff?
Regan's decision to stay until the Tower Commission report is issued means that he will help decide how the White House responds to the report, even though he is one of its probable targets. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, at the White House.
Heavily armed Syrian forces are patrolling the streets of West Beirut this morning. This is part of the latest plan to stop the militia fighting and the terrorism in the Lebanese capital. Syrian soldiers say they've been ordered to treat any armed person as the enemy, with orders to shoot to kill. From Salt Lake City this morning, the story of a Vietnamese resident and his tragic loss. Roger O'Neill reports.
For 6 years, Dow Van Nguyen saved every penny he made at a small restaurant in Salt Lake City. He and other Vietnamese here were determined to get their relatives out of Vietnam, and they thought a lot of money would expedite the process. There was $164,000. It was put into a small bank, which defaulted. Utah banking officials don't know yet when or how much money any of the depositors in the thrift will get back. Dow says the 33 relatives who were supposed to leave Vietnam did not, because the money he was going to use to support them was gone.
Are you afraid for your relatives' future in Vietnam if they have to stay there?
I'm scared to death, not just afraid.
Dow is trying to save the money again, sponsoring benefit dinners at his restaurant.
How we doing over here? Thank you very much for coming today.
Dow is frustrated and doesn't understand why the problem, as he calls it, hasn't been solved by state officials.
The government that he had put his trust in and had faith in had basically let him down. And he, you know, I remember the words he said, you know, the Vietnamese government is like that.
Dow says he is beginning to understand what the word bureaucracy means. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Salt Lake City.
Manila today is putting the finishing touches on tomorrow's first anniversary of the revolution that triggered the downfall of former President Marcos and the beginning of the government of Corazon Aquino. For the past year, the main story out of the Philippines has been one of politics. But as Keith Miller reports this morning, there's another story, and this one deals with gold.
There is no easy way to reach Yellow Mountain on the Philippine island of Mindanao. It is a torturous journey toward an uncertain future where the dream of wealth overshadows the danger that is everywhere. In a 4-year rush for gold, hundreds of miners have been killed in cave-ins and landslides. Engineers have declared the hundreds of tunnels that crisscross the mountainside unsound. Still, they come. Up to 100,000 people have been drawn to this remote region in search of riches. Most people discover nothing more than backbreaking labor and misery. So far, the government has tolerated the illegal and often hazardous prospecting because it provides jobs where none existed before. But the danger has become too great. The people are poisoning themselves. Mercury is now being used in a crude fashion to refine gold from tailings. This misuse can cause insanity resulting in death.
The level of mercury contamination exceeds about 200% than the normal, you know, and this is really very alarming.
The frontier town of Diawalwal displays little of the prosperity that created it, but the effort to strike it rich goes on anyway and everywhere. There seems to be no simple cure for gold fever. The consequences for the prospectors on Yellow Mountain grow more deadly as the search for Eureka becomes more desperate. Keith Miller, NBC News, the Philippines.
7 minutes after the hour is the time. Again, here's Bryant.
All right, John, thanks very much. We'll go to Chicago in just a moment for a look at the Democratic primary going on there today. But first, a check of the weather. Willard Scott is back from a 4-day weekend and well-rested, we hope. He's in Washington this morning. Good morning, Willard.
Good morning, Brian. Yes, I am well-rested. And I came to Washington for a special reason. You know, we're having the 35th anniversary NBC Today Show party here in Washington tonight. And guess where? It's at the Willard Hotel. And you know, there have been a lot of recent budget cuts here in broadcasting. You've read about those. Well, here, we normally have a lavish party. This year, a little different. We're having some Spam and Thunderbird wine. And I was down studying the rooms up today, and everybody got a flagon. Let's check the act. The best snow I could find in this area, we had, listen, am I as dumb as I look? I was in Florida all weekend, 80 degrees. Miami's going to be 81 again today. South Florida, dynamite. But we had about 20 inches of snow at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. But the big story, they also had winter storms out in Lander, Wyoming, 14 inches. Lake Tahoe at 18, more of the same today. Get this, what a range. Anywhere from 6 inches of snow in the lowlands to up to 2 feet of snow expected in the higher mountain areas, and that includes watches, warnings, etc. All the Rockies, Great Basin, the Sierras, Lake Tahoe, the interior Pacific Northwest, the northern plains, even inching up into the northern Mississippi Valley. Windy and thunder showers along the coast, too, especially windy gale force winds from Portland, Maine, Portland, Oregon, I should say, down the coast through San Francisco, even Los Angeles. Strong gusty winds and a scattered thunder shower, too. Also heavy rains in the southern plains and the lower Mississippi today, and just a little bit of fog in southern Texas and southeastern Texas. Here's what's happening in your world this morning.
Good morning, everyone. This is meteorologist Tim Hedrick. Mostly cloudy today, a little bit of light rain in the northwest, but remaining mild, a high near 43 degrees.
Next city of the day is Fort Myers, Florida. 78 degrees, couldn't be better. 75th wedding anniversary. Congratulations with all the sincerity of the heart. 75 years married, Mr. and Mrs. Edgar Phelps of Cedar Springs, and that's in Michigan. Happy anniversary. Now back to Jane in New York. Your room is waiting, my love.
Thank you, Willard. On Close Up this morning, the top political spot in America's most political city is up for grabs. NBC national political correspondent Ken Bode is at a polling place in Chicago's 42nd Ward this morning. He has a look at today's Democratic primary election for the mayor's office in Chicago. And good morning, Ken.
Good morning, Jane. Inside a polling place here, opened just a few moments ago. Chicago politics in recent years has been racial, upfront, and open, and this election is no exception. This morning we're going to take a look at the race between Mayor Washington and Jane Byrne from the point of view of two of their supporters, two aldermen. One is black and one is white. First, the mayor's man, Alderman Tim Evans. He is Harold Washington's floor leader on City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. He is, in my opinion, the best floor leader that has existed in the city of Chicago in my lifetime. I've seen them all.
Evans and Washington weren't always allies, but they are now.
Mr. Mayor, you got lipstick on your cheek. Where'd you get that from?
I earned it.
Evans says Washington is far better for his ward than Mayor Byrne was.
Oh, it's been the difference between night and day. In Jane Byrne's tenure, my ward suffered because I opposed Jane Byrne frequently.
You had to take Jane Byrne.
She is the same Jane Byrne who ruled the city in a topsy-turvy way.
With your help, I know we'll make it all right. You know you got it, too.
There is no question about Harold Washington's support among black voters. It's monolithic. But Evans himself is up for re-election, and the ward is about a quarter white.
I felt a lot better about you ever since you got my street repaired. Well, thank you.
When Washington beat Jane Byrne 4 years ago, he ran as a reformer.
The for sale sign that hung over City Hall before I came into office is gone, 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 gone.
This is City Hall, City Council.
This is a report, a computer report.
And this is our other alderman, Eddie Burke, 14th Ward. He says reform under Washington is phony.
All the city employees who have contributed to Mayor Washington's campaign, it totals $201,000.
Listed on that computer printout, of course, were names of people who were my precinct captains who were working against him. These people were coerced and forced and intimidated into contributing to his campaign fund in order to keep their jobs.
Chicago! Chicago!
Eddie Burke is a former cop who followed his father's footsteps into politics. He was a part of the regular Democratic machine back when Jane Byrne ran against that machine as a reformer.
Everybody thought the big machine, a woman can't do it. Let me tell you, they were no happier to get a woman sitting up there than they were to get Harold. We were both anti-machine candidates in their eyes. They suffered a humiliation that they couldn't deliver, and they were no happier.
These are Eddie Burke's precinct captains getting their marching orders for today, Election Day.
Let's make sure that every single possible voter we can find gets to the polls.
Some think white turnout in today's primary could be low, that some organization regulars don't want Jane Byrne any more than they want Harold Washington. That's not Burke's prediction.
We'll cast somewhere in excess of 90%, which will be the highest ever cast in the history of the ward. Byrne will get 90% of that 90%.
Harold Washington, give him power!
This is Jesse Jackson's Operation Push. One of the most controversial events of the campaign took place here 3 weeks ago. To stir up black turnout, an Illinois appellate judge, Eugene Pincham, was speaking for Harold Washington. Listen.
Any man south of Madison Street who casts a vote in the February 24th election who doesn't cast a vote for Harold Washington ought to be hung as those were hung in New York.
South of Madison means the black area. At the time, there was plenty of applause. Later, plenty of controversy.
It was kind of a preposterous statement, especially coming from a judge.
What do we have next? We have Judge Pincham.
Judge Pincham was roundly criticized for injecting race into the campaign. Alderman Evans admits the rhetoric has gotten out of hand.
You had, perhaps for the purposes of the campaign, unfortunate phraseology used.
In the 4th Ward, Washington supporters used the phrase, Mayor for life.
All right. Mayor for life.
Eddie Burke would not like to see that happen, but if Washington does win again, well...
With 4 more years to consolidate his base, he can pretty much do anything he wants.
The Las Vegas odds makers are making it 8-5 that Harold Washington wins this race today. He could do it with a sizable portion of the white vote. But Jane Byrne, well, she's managed to surprise before, and I've noticed that all the political columnists and wise guys in this town, Jane, are hedging their bets in the last few days.
Well, Ken, we'll Keep track of it. Thank you. See you in the morning. In a moment, we'll meet this country's outstanding amateur athlete. A clue. Her name may surprise you, but first, this is Today on NBC.
Would you like to lose 40 pounds by Easter? Then let me show you what's happening to people here at the Weight Loss Clinic.
It's amazing. I'm slim enough to wear my daughter's clothes.
At the clinic, Cookie Olsen lost 51 pounds and went from a size 18 to a 10.
I have a lot more confidence. My friends all give me compliments, and my husband is very proud of me. Thank you, Weight Loss Clinic.
When I was overweight, I never would have dreamed of doing this.
At the clinic, Sybil Sholins lost 97 pounds and went from a size 24 to a 10.
Now I feel like going places and doing things. My husband says I'm a whole new person. Thank you, Weight